Hello again, it's Noob, and you may have seen me pick this Federal Lock 731 not so long ago, and I didn't have a key for it. And do you know what? If you are out there on eBay and you're, buying some locks and you see a bargain, it doesn't have a key, but it is actually with a removable core, do consider buying it and actually cutting your own key. Now, clearly you can make a bad job of that, but you know what? I think all you need to do is just have a steady hand and a keen eye, and of course some files. I just got these Draper ones. They weren't very much money, and they're perfectly fine. I've got some Vaco ones as well. These are like a size up, and these are pretty useful as well. It doesn't really matter as long as you get some good quality key blanks. Now, what I do have is some key blanks for this Federal Lock. In fact, I have two just in case I make a massive mistake. The original keys come like that, but it's okay, it's the same profile, and you can see it's perfectly aligned. It's the full 6 pins all the way down. So the first thing I like to do is to just press it in with your thumb and get something, a scribe or a punch, just to go along. So push the key in really hard to make sure that you align these dots. And just go along and just put a dot on the top of each of these pinholes on the key. Make sure that the key is always pushed up close, because what you want to do is not misalign the dots. And there we go. So hopefully what you can see is little marks all the way along. So we've got pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just here, can you just see there? 6, just at the tip. Now, what I'd then like to do is move that just there, is to get a pair of vice grips, because why not? We're just going to grip the bow of the key like that, and what I like to do at this point is just mark with a triangular file bit just the top. So where I made that mark, just get at right angles and just give it a little swipe like that. That way you'll be able to see these marks a lot clearer. Now you want to make sure that you have aligned that right. There we go. And last but not least, if you look here, got one just at the tip. Just at the tip, so that's going to be a little bit hard to get, but we can get there. It's this one. And these little marks will also help guide the next cut, because it's easy to get those wrong. So there we go. So that's how I'd start off, is just put some cuts in where that key is sitting underneath the pinholes. I'll put that in, and hopefully we can see that we are pretty much aligned. Yep, pretty much. Okay, so that's good stuff. Right, then of course what we need is to start filing this away. So where are my tweezers? Let's grab pin 1 and drop that in, and what we need to do is we need to just file down until this sits flush. So as you can see, it's sitting nicely in there, but it's quite high, so we can probably file a reasonable amount away. What file do I use? Well, it's hard to say what is the best file. I think that a round file is good. I personally prefer a larger square file, something like this, and use an edge So what I'll get in there and just keep it at what is it, 45 degrees, like that. And then what you need to do is bring your lock up to it, have a look, and just see how much more you need to take off. And I clearly need to take a bit more off. There we go. And you see the cut I am making there. We can always tidy this up in a bit. Just drop the pin out. And I like to do sort of one pin at a time. See that needs a bit more. Take out, and if I take the pin out here, you can see that I'm making a cut there. Now, these tips are a little bit chiseled, so what you can do is you could also use a round file, maybe a small round file like this, and you can just use this instead. Honestly, I tend to go between the two a little bit, as long as, and I think this one is actually quite good, this finger file, because it's somewhere around the right sort of size. So between the square, that bigger square one, and this round one, we'll get there. And once that's sort of at the right height, then I'll move to the next pin, the next pin, and the next pin. Okay, I decided to go actually for a square cut on these, so I'm using a small square file. You see, they're almost there, but I canyoned. Now, it doesn't matter when you actually have the core loose like this, because you just tip the pin out. But what's happening is that the pin is getting caught on the, there we go. It's getting caught here, because we're using a square file, and it's not allowing the pin to pass up. Now that's fine, because we can finish this off, but it's just worth noting that if you were impressioning a key in a lock where you haven't removed the core, this could actually trap the key in the lock, and that would be a massive problem. So if you were doing impressioning, use a round file or elliptical file. Okay, all right, let's carry on. Okay, so I'm getting there now. I'm on pin 5. You can see that this is quite a long pin. You can sort of tell because it's got serrations, and they put only serrations on the longer pins. I just want to show off my my hand filing there. Look, that tiny little bit just here by my tip of my fingernail is just between the two pin chambers. So when I put this in, you'll see that it's disappeared. So I was quite impressed with that. You'll also see that I've got a similar one here between pins 1 and 2. And I've tried to keep the cuts square to the key, but I also haven't cut the depths 100%. They're probably about 0.2 of a millimeter too long, sorry, so that I can just tidy up at the end without cutting the chambers too deep. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm starting out with the square file to get a kind of V-shaped groove, go in with the round file to make it wider, and then finishing off with this little square file here to make these chambers deep. Now, I will need to make these look neat afterwards so they don't canyon, but we'll come on to that in a second. Okay, so we're pretty much there. What I need to do is just make those pin chambers just nice and squared off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a file, probably a flat file actually, if I can find one, with a an edge which doesn't have a... See, this edge has the serrations in it, this edge doesn't. Then use it to angle into the side of those cuts to make a nice close to 45-degree angle, just so we have a slope up and down, make it look really nice. Alright, I'll get on with it. Okay, so I think that's the final key. So just for clarification, I use this side of this file to cut the angles between the pin cuts, because it doesn't cut any deeper down into the key itself. So if you did it the other way, you might end up gouging further down into the key which you just cut. And I guess the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so to speak. So if this goes in and out without cannioning and is nice and smooth, then I think we've done it. Oh, I popped a pin out. And the other thing to check, of course, is are the pins, when you put the key in, at the right height? And the answer is, it appears that they are. Now I can always just fettle that in a minute, but let's put the lock together and see how it copes. Plug all reassembled. Hand cut key, which, do you know what, the more I look at it, the more I think that's pretty sharp. Okay, let's have a go. Both ways. Don't need to jiggle the key to make it work, so I reckon that that is a success. Any clicks? No, that's pretty nice actually. So there you go. That's how to hand cut a key to fit a lock, an eBay bargain without a key. Go take the lock down to a good locksmith's, explain your situation, and they may even give you a blank for a couple of quid for you to make your own key. Okay, well, that's not too bad. I reckon I could even get an actual key cut from that. Alright, and there it goes, all reassembled, gone from this to this. Does it work? Assembled all in the lock. The answer is yeah, perfectly. What more do you want? Good stuff. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.